Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, September 30th. I am Juliet Bennett Ryla here with John Weigell, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Today, we're going to be talking about The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz came out in 1939. You can pretty much watch it streaming for free anywhere. You've probably seen it a million times. So why are people spending hundreds of dollars to see it now? Well, it turns out that is the draw of Las Vegas' Sphere. It is 366 feet tall, 516 feet wide, and apparently the world's biggest spherical structure, and also one of its greatest venues, apparently. We are going to talk about why that is in a moment, but before we do that, let's give you the news in business and tech. Seattle Ultrasonic's new ultrasonic chef's knife is, as they say, the first of its kind for home cooks. The rechargeable C200 knife looks like the standard kitchen fare, except it has a power button on the handle that makes it vibrate over 40,000 times per second, which is apparently helpful for reducing friction, making for cleaner cuts that require less force. It also helps keep food from sticking to the blade, which does sound nice if you have the required $399 hanging around, plus another $149 for their fancy charging tile. There's probably also going to be a subscription. That's my prediction. You will need a subscription to use your smart knife in the future, like everything else. Anyhow, Tilly Norwood is not real, but she is generating a lot of controversy. Eline van der Velden created Tilly, an AI-generated character, for her AI talent studio, and now says that various talent agents have been interested in Tilly as an actress. This, of course, led to considerable backlash from real actors. Now, van der Velden has said that Tilly is not meant as a replacement for people, but a new tool akin to animation, puppetry, or CGI, which is interesting because she also once said that she hoped that Tilly would become the next Scarlett Johansson or Natalie Portman, who are, last I checked, real people. Next up, a fruitful venture, Sunworld International, which claims the world's first seedless grapes and seedless watermelon, and Pairwise, maker of the world's first seedless blackberry, are teaming up on what would become another first-to-market product, a pitless cherry. Electronic Arts agreed to be taken private in a deal worth about $55 billion led by Public Investment Fund, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, as it diversifies investments from oil into gaming. If this deal is completed, it will be the largest ever buyout of a public company not adjusted for inflation, according to the New York Times. And finally, and this will surprise you, Neon, that would be the app that pays users to record their phone calls to sell that data to AI companies to train their AI models, has been temporarily taken offline due to security vulnerabilities that exposed user data. Neon, at one point, very recently, had the number 2 spot on Apple's App Store's list of free apps before it was removed, meaning that a lot of you seemingly just do not care who listens to your weekly phone call with your mother.
For more headlines like that, you can subscribe to the show and we'll have more for you tomorrow. So today, we're talking about a movie that has been around for almost 100 years at this point and having a bit of a residency and a bit of a resurgence at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Juliet, can you tell me what this movie is and what's happening in Vegas?
The movie is The Wizard of Oz, which is a beloved classic.
Yes.
Everybody's seen it, probably. You don't get much more classic, family-friendly film than The Wizard of Oz, despite the fact that
you do not.
The flying monkeys are kind of scary when you're a small child.
They're kind of scary. Yeah, and this 1939 film has had somewhat of a resurrection. Well, obviously, I think part of this resurrection is because of Wicked, right?
Oh, for sure.
And that being like a theater extravaganza, and Wicked 2 coming out relatively soon. But not Wicked, but Wizard of Oz is at the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Yes, the OG. And apparently it is really paying off for the Sphere, which, if you remember when we initially started talking about it, was imagined as, yes, a place where you could watch movies. Darren Aronofsky had a piece there, but largely a concert venue. It actually opened with a U2 performance.
Yeah. Dead & Co. have played there. Mm-hmm. Quite a few artists have come through there.
Yeah, and that's great. People love it, apparently. But The Wizard of Oz is what is crushing it right now. And if you just want to talk about the numbers here. So Sphere Entertainment spent an estimated $2.3 billion to build this thing. And it is state of the art. If you've been to Las Vegas since it's been built, I'm sure you've seen it. You can't miss it. It's huge. It is the largest spherical structure on Earth, apparently.
Yes. That's right.
So you're thinking about, they spent $2.3 billion on it. And according to a piece in The Hollywood Reporter, where they spoke with Wolf research analyst Peter Sapino, it is going to make estimated profits of over $500 million in 2026 for an adjusted operating income near $200 million, which, of course, according to this analysis, will make it very appealing to investors and also studios who may be interested in also resurrecting their own iconic IPs.
Yeah.
So it's going really well. Now, why? Well, if you were to see The Wizard of Oz at a repertory screening anywhere near you, it'd probably be anywhere from $5 to $20, but not at the Sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets at the Sphere start at $114.
Oh, God. Okay. Pause there, because that's a lot of money to see a movie that you can watch anytime.
Yes.
Anywhere, practically. I'm sure there's quite a significant difference between watching Wizard of Oz on a flat screen versus at the Sphere. I'm sure the Sphere, you probably get more of like an experience with everything, more interactive, more stuff going on. Do they extend the imagery at all? That's another question.
Yes. So I would say that seeing a film at the Sphere is probably unlike seeing a film anywhere else. And we have talked about 4DX theaters before, which, they rain on you. The seats move. Right. Really wanted to see Jaws in 4DX. Did not happen. Would have loved to see Twisters in 4DX. Also didn't happen. But I mean, that sounds amazing, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a traditional screen, whereas the Sphere is a sphere. So you are completely surrounded on top, all around by, what is essentially an IMAX screen. So you're like in VR, but you're not in VR. That is the field of vision.
Right.
And so in order to play a movie in this format, you actually need to adapt it for this format that only exists in this one place. So they actually spent $100 million to adapt it. And that included, and this is controversial, using AI and other technology to stretch and manipulate the imagery.
Mm-hmm.
So they cut the film down. So you're actually paying $114 to watch a movie that is shorter and has less content than the original.
It's shorter, actually.
Yes, because some of it couldn't be adapted.
Wow.
And then it is kind of like how when the metaverse started, you're like, nobody has legs. Why doesn't anyone have legs?
Yeah.
People do not have legs in some scenes in this movie because that's how this scene is cut. It's from the torso up, but now it's stretched. So you got to give them legs. Wow. If you can imagine like how you would have to manipulate this. So I did not pay $114 to watch this movie, but I did read several reviews, and a lot of people are talking about how, just incredible these effects are. There's snow, there's wind during the tornado, there's smells that come in at appropriate times. Like there's pyrotechnics, like there's just all sorts of wild things that happen. But at the same time, some of the AI effects are really uncanny. So like someone was talking about how Dorothy appears sort of in a weird place on the screen, and she appears to have no pores, and her face just looks really weird. It kind of looks like a uncanny valley version of Judy Garland, who is, one of the most recognizable faces of all time because of her fame in this movie. So there's a lot of weirdness with it, which is not to say that this technology could not get better, but there is a lot of controversy about taking a piece and using AI to essentially mangle it for something. Is that good? Is that bad? Do we want to see something like this? Apparently, yes. Apparently, people are paying $114 to see this. So
yeah, it seems like they're selling a lot of tickets. And of course, given the projection you said about what they're aiming to make in 2026, they seem pretty confident that people will continue to come see this movie and potentially others in the future, as you alluded to earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, this isn't the only theater that's doing something like this. I think the Sphere is probably the most intense example just because of how state-of-the-art it is, how large it is in terms of what it can accommodate, in terms of just the sheer magnitude and the state-of-the-art tech that's inside it. But there are other theaters doing something similar. There's actually one called Cosm, which has locations in Dallas and the Los Angeles area, that adapted The Matrix.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's also in a dome, but while I have not been to see it, I have read a lot about it, and it seems like the effects are kind of around the screen. So it's not really manipulating the actual movie, but, when he's doing his hacker stuff, like the whole thing is like that green lettering, and, there's
the binary code. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's other immersive touches. So Cosm, which I have been to once before, I went to go see Cirque du Soleil. And when I saw that, I was like, I would rather just go see Cirque du Soleil than watch it on a Sphere. Like,
sure.
Yes.
That makes sense.
I saw a little behind the scenes stuff, which was kind of cool, but not enough for me to be like, yeah, this is much cooler than if I just saw the thing. And I remember thinking to myself, if I were like a big fan of, let's say, Taylor Swift, and I couldn't get a ticket to the Eras Tour because it's sold out and they're very expensive, but I could come and watch the Eras Tour here and get, behind the scenes, backstage footage of her getting ready. And that might be worth it to me if I were a huge fan of Taylor Swift. Cosm's whole thing is like live sports. And that makes sense. You can't go to the Super Bowl, but you want to have this immersive experience with a bunch of other fans.
Exactly.
I think this also makes sense because Cosm has a restaurant and a bar, and tickets to this Matrix screening are much cheaper than the Sphere. They start at about $50 or under $50, depending on when it is that you go. Mm-hmm. But they can be over $100 if you include a themed tasting menu, time to be delivered at the associated scenes.
Wow.
Including apparently a choice where you get to choose between a red or a blue cocktail at the moment.
Fun.
Where you got to take the red or the blue pill. And I think that's really cool. I think Secret Cinema does a great job having these immersive screenings where you have all of these photo ops, and there's even a place near me that does a taste along.
Wow.
I also do them in my house. If you ever are forced to watch a movie at my house, I will force you to eat themed courses that I will have spent all day making.
Amazing.
So I think there's a market for this.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the difficulty is scale. I do not charge people to come to my home because I can only make enough food for maybe 6 people.
Right.
But if you are the Sphere and you have $2.3 billion, or if you're Cosm and you have a restaurant, bar, a full kitchen, and you also have dropped a lot of money, I think this is a really scalable way for people to enjoy movies, and it transcends the streaming experience. Because sure, can you stream The Wizard of Oz at home? Yes. But can you stream The Wizard of Oz with inflatable flying monkeys and pyrotechnics? Probably not, unless you really have something weird going on.
Right, unless you have a really good day at Spirit Halloween. I definitely think that the entertainment industry is evolving with this. We've talked a lot about how your traditional movie theater is not doing too well right now. And people are moving towards these more premium experiences in a lot of ways. Right. The wealthier classes obviously are seeking these experiences, or the people who have saved up their money for to see Star Wars will spend their money on Star Wars, and they'll probably want to have an experience seeing Star Wars 4 through 6, I bet, at a movie theater somewhere with all of these bells and whistles attached to it. So I really think there is a future in this kind of medium for entertainment because people are spending more money on things that they really, really, really like.
Right.
And regular theaters aren't doing too great right now. So I think this could be a future of that experience model that everybody's looking towards.
Yeah, and I think it's similar to something we've talked about before, which is the concert film, not to be confused with this is Spinal Tap, but when you go and watch a movie and it has the live score to it. That's very popular with any John Williams movie, essentially.
Definitely.
Nightmare Before Christmas. And even that is transcending, what you would typically think of as entertainment you would go see live. Because I've seen a lot of really popular ones for video games where people want to go see music from The Witcher or Final Fantasy or 2 that I've seen recently.
Yeah. There's been one for Sonic the Hedgehog, stuff like that. Yeah, it's great.
So to your point, it's maybe I'm not going to go see a movie every Friday now that going and seeing a movie is expensive and popcorn's $11, but I will stream movies at home and then save up for the one that's my fandom.
Yes, what you love, a sequel to that movie, or doing that movie again with some sort of bells and whistles attached. Exactly. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone wants to make a fully immersive Hellraiser screening, I will be there. I'll probably be the only person there. But just saying if anyone wants to.
I'm sure it exists. The popcorn bucket would be tricked out for that with the spikes and everything.
Yes. Oh, I could be in the little puzzle box. Yeah. I would love it. Call me. I'll be the one ticket buyer. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the Hubspot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clarke. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter, so if you are not subscribed, go get yourself signed up at thehustle.co/email, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Look, I'm going to be straight with you. Everybody's talking about AI, but most people are just playing around with ChatGPT instead of actually making money from it. That's why we dropped the ultimate crash course to create your own AI side hustle in 7 days. We're talking real frameworks and strategies from the pros like the founder of The Hustle, Sam Parr. It includes mini guides, templates, the whole 9 yards, stuff that takes years to figure out. Condensed into 1 week. Stop what you're doing right now and grab it in the show notes. Your future self will thank you.